Tonight, brand new video of accused murderer Casey Anthony in court today. Take a look. Clearly, she has had a makeover. There she is, dressed in a conservative blazer and sporting a new hair bun. Anthony's star-studded defense team scored one victory today. The judge ruled the defense can search the woods where little Kaylee's remains were found. But the defense flamed out when they argued that the entire prosecution team should be removed for allegedly trying to smear the name of Casey's lead attorney, Jose Baez.
Because you do wear the robes to protect all of the interests of our client, Ms. Anthony, when it comes to the basic fundamental rights of the right to the fair trial and the right to representation of her Sixth Amendment right to counsel. Now, we have filed this motion, asking Your Honor to ask the prosecutor to voluntarily recuse themselves or whatever persons in the offices may be applicable to because of an incident that arose that we became aware of. Again, as we become aware of many things in this case through the media.
Couldn't see her, but you could hear her despite that powerful monologue by famous defense attorney Linda Kenny Bodden. Judge Stan Strickland was having none of it, calling the accusations short on facts.
And it's denied. So the motion to recuse is denied. The state attorney's office has, I guess, something like 190 lawyers or something like that. These three aren't involved.
Smackdown! Then another stunner. Indications today that the trial may not start for another year. We have so much to talk about. Bill Mannion, pathologist and assistant medical examiner for Burlington County, New Jersey. Judge Jeanine Pirro, former district attorney and host of the Judge Jeanine Pirro Show. Pam Bondi, Florida state prosecutor. And Jay Fahey, criminal defense attorney. There he is, and Rosie Franco, reporter for WFLA, 5:40 a.m. Rosie, what is the very latest?
Well, as you saw there, attorney Linda Kennedy Bodden was actually arguing the point in that motion to recuse, but that motion was denied. Judge Stan Strickland simply said today it was not a violation of Casey Anthony's Sixth Amendment right. Obviously, that's what their argument was on behalf of actually trying to get the prosecution removed because they launched an investigation into Jose Baez.
Yeah, and there was actually a much stronger argument, I thought, Judge Jeanine Pirro, in terms of the defense saying, hey, these guys have got to go. And again, they lost in court today, but I thought their stronger argument, which they didn't really emphasize, was all the leaks coming out of the prosecution side. They said in their motion the chloroform was revealed to the public by sources close to the investigation. The chloroform in Casey's trunk long before the discovery was out. The tape, the duct tape over little Kaylee's mouth was revealed to the public by sources close to the investigation. Isn't that the stronger argument? Why didn't they use that?
Well, Jane, there's no question that, these are substantive arguments that the prosecution had no right to leak. And I would think that there would be an investigation, Jane, into who on the prosecution's team, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's some of the agencies working with them, have been leaking this information because it is truly tainting the jury pool. But
having said that,
well, yeah, I do think it would ultimately come out. But it's more than that, Jane. What you've got are two sides who are now nitpicking at each other. They don't get along. They're trying to get the DA recused and have the Attorney General come in. Well, that's just unheard of. It's not done. It's like a bunch of babies running around trying to get some resolve or some resolution where, you know what, it's the way the game is played. This is knockdown, drag out murder.
All right, Pam Bondi, you're a Florida state prosecutor. Do you think all these leaks are poisoning the jury pool?
Well, first of all, they can't pin down at all that it came from the prosecution. I know that office. They're a very ethical office, Lawson Lamar's office. But they could have come from dozens of law enforcement officers. Should the stuff have been leaked out? Of course not. But they can't prove it was the prosecution. Now, the problem with tainting the jury pool with that is that, Jane, the jury's going to find out all that information anyway if they're seated on the jury. But sure, none of that should have come out. But the standard is whether they had formed an opinion based on what they had heard with all the pretrial publicity.
I want to talk about Casey Anthony's look, because as we all know, Jose Baez fought to keep her out of court, saying every time Casey Anthony shows up in court, it creates such a media fury that it really, again, taints the jury pool and prevents her from getting a fair trial. So guess what? We're going to talk about her appearance because, in my opinion, Jay Fahey, a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, it's very much part and parcel of this entire case. She's got a new look that is a strategy. Obviously, she's coming across with a bun and a suit jacket looking all conservative. We have a right and, in fact, an obligation to comment. And every other high-profile trial, you could talk about Michael Jackson. We obsessed about every kooky outfit he wore to court every single day, and this guy was acquitted on all counts. So why is Jose Baez trying to make a big deal about his client showing up in court?
The number one, every time the client comes to court, it is a media circus. I think I think she probably doesn't want to come to court, and that's why he's making the fuss about it. But if we want to talk about her look, she now looks like almost like a school marm, almost like a nun, and that's how I think that's the way they want to project her. If we look at all of the media coverage of her, she always came across as a partier, someone that was getting tattoos, someone that was clubbing, an attractive young mother. Now they're trying to. She looks like she's gained a little bit of weight. Whether that's lack of makeup or she in fact gained weight, I don't know. But the look now is one of a mother, a matronly type of person, even given her young age, so that she might be more sympathetic to the jury. I think it's a very smart thing to do.
Judge Jeanine Pirro, what's really poisoning the jury, if they're being poisoned at all, would be the pictures of her out partying, which have been shown, and we have some, maybe we can show you now, her out partying while her child was missing before anybody knew, before it was reported to authorities, when she said she was doing an investigation.
Right, right. She's out partying. I mean, she's doing all the gang signs, and, you know, she's bumping and grinding in some of these places, but it's even worse than that. She's buying lingerie and beer with a stolen, you know, check. I mean, but understand, Jane, this is theater. At the end of the day, it's theater. Those 12 people will look at her for many, many weeks, and we are now seeing a new image of her, and you and I get it, and Jay gets it, and Pam gets it, but those 12 jurors don't know her, and they may think, gee, this is the real, you know, Casey Anthony, and maybe she was a good mother, and let's give her the benefit of the doubt. That's all it is.
I think they're even trying to tone down her looks because everybody has obviously commented that she's an attractive young woman, and they're trying to make her plain, which I think is absolutely fascinating. Now, you know, perhaps the biggest news to come out of today's hearing, no trial date. Listen to this.
I don't anticipate this being ready for trial until later this year. If the case doesn't come to trial for another year, things can change dramatically, and venue change might not be necessary.
I'd like to know, A, if we're moving somewhere, and be able to prepare in advance for that specific area and make the arrangements. It's not a 1, 2, 3 thing.
Pam Bondi, another year? Oh my gosh, the prosecutor today theorized Casey Anthony's case would not come to trial until later this year, perhaps next year. And what shocked me, nobody threw up their hands and said, what? It's going to be a long haul.
That's actually the average on a murder case with this many witnesses and this complicated. And you have to remember, they just found that body a few months ago. So there's a lot of brand new evidence that's still coming in. And I'm sure the defense wants to take hundreds of depositions in this case to be adequately prepared. And then the prosecution needs to depose all of their defense experts. We have very open laws in the state of Florida. So it sounds like a long time, but in a case of this magnitude, it's really not.
You know, but Judge Jeanine Pirro, it just bugs me when I hear that a case of this magnitude has to wait a year because all the sides have to be so well prepared. What about the average Joe or Jane that gets convicted and the case moves very speedily through the criminal justice system and there isn't that preparation? Again, it reminds me of a dual system of justice.
Right, and you know what, when you say a case of this magnitude, murder is murder. If someone is charged with murder, whether it's of a child or a neighbor or anyone else, they are facing a life in prison, if the prosecutor doesn't seek death. And although I agree with what Pam's saying, you know, it's hypocritical at the end of the day to say, well, look, because it's such a big case, we got to be ready. Hogwash. You know, the truth is, you get your evidence, you get your toxicology, you do what you've got to do, and you move this case like any other case.
Pam?
In the case of this magnitude, it means they found the body just several months ago after they indicted her. There are dozens of expert witnesses, and
So
now
what?
the defense has come in with dozens of expert witnesses.
Pam, my
and
office
they
has
all
found
need to be
my office has
deposed.
found bodies in the woods too of young children. Okay, that doesn't mean that you take many months or a year after that. You indict, you get the evidence, you get your tests, and then you take it to trial.
We have to
Right,
keep
and
in
I think
mind
that's
that
what's
this
going
is
on,
Florida.
and
We have to
that's
keep in
the
mind this is
reality.
Florida, and in Florida, it's different than the rest of the country. The defense bar gets to cross-examine and to depose witnesses for the
Every
prosecution.
witness.